Hey, good evening. Guess what? It's just 1 minute after 8. Just 1 minute after 8. How was your weekend? Well, I had a great weekend. I'll tell you guys what I did, but I can tell you guys right off the bat what I didn't do. I didn't distribute football, soccer balls, or anything this weekend. I didn't do that. Other folks were probably out doing that, not me. I'm on the bigger stuff than just football. You got to empower people more than just football. Anyway, share the link, right? We're gonna rock and roll this evening. I have a packed program, and I have MP Ricky. Yeah, we call him Ricky. The Honorable Ryan Ramsarup is with me. I have young Elson Lowe with me. Who else do I have with me? I'll tell you guys when we return with Straight Up on this beautiful Monday evening.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now I come home. The naga jackass yard for fetch the load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell the tale. Some picnic are there with fright. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Burra, Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Burra, Nancy, even Watamuma. Yeah, man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
It's an eco-friendly Christmas. The Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union is pleased to present our annual Christmas promotion, commencing November 1st, 2021 and concludes December 17, 2021. The credit union recognizes and acknowledges the importance of minimizing our carbon footprint and has tailored this year's promotion to suit by presenting our members with an electric car and bikes, which will undoubtedly raise awareness and help our members to adopt. To participate, one must be a member of the Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union, must like and follow the credit union's Facebook page, must have an existing loan with the credit union, must be in good standing with the credit union, must not be an immediate family member of any staff or committee member, must earn a gross of less than $150,000 monthly, and proof of this fact must be attached. And only one coupon is allowed per member. It's an eco-friendly Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Hey, guess what? Good evening. My name is Mark. Yes, that's right. Mark Benshop. And you're listening to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. I'm not sure that I want to be able to show my face this evening. Good evening to all of you. I just don't want to. I actually had a very busy day. I didn't get a chance to put on makeup and any sort of things because, these days they got, my makeup artist and so forth didn't show up. But we have Lemon in the house with us. Good evening, Lemon. At least, look, let me say this about Lemon. Lemon, no matter what he goes through, Lemon doesn't throw tantrums. Lemon doesn't allow his emotions to get in the way to do his job or anything. So just say a big good evening to Lemon, right? Good evening to Lemon. Good evening to Lemon. Good evening to all of you. Every single one of you listening to this program, whether you're in Buxton, Badam, or Buxton lined up. Good evening to all of you, whether you're in Port Morant, you're Blackbush Polar, you're Philippi, wherever you are. Good evening. In Georgetown. I can't leave out the folks in Georgetown, Neither can I leave out the folks in Linden. And speaking of Linden, there is a situation. Seriously, there is a situation in Linden where a Lindener was shot. Okay, Lemon, don't overdo the do now. You could take that village voice completely off. Completely off, Lemon. Thank you. You see? Oops, sorry about that. I said thank you for a moment. Got you guys wondering. Thank you. right? Thank you so much, Lemon. Oh, that's Andrew's Supermarket. Just head down there and let them know we sent you guys for collect your 10% discount or whatever. And when you're in Brooklyn, if you're in Brooklyn, look, check those people out. Check those folks out. The best uniforms they have. So if you're coming to Guyana, or not, if you're heading to the US and you want a job in nursing or whatever, or security guard, go there. Go to that store. Shop your uniforms right there. Support them 100%. Okay, here goes. Lemon is getting a lot of shout outs. I don't know, lots and lots of shout outs to Lemon. Nobody's saying hi to Mark Benchab. Nobody's saying hi. If you say hi to me, guess what? I'll throw you a football. Because football seems to be the going thing now, right? Yeah, going thing. I saw over the weekend, Ramson was back in Buxton. Ramson back in Buxton. But we'll talk a little more about this football and village stuff. Look, don't get me wrong. I don't want you guys to get me wrong. I'm all for developments and so forth and so on, empowerment. But there's a question about certain types of football throwing, certain types of that. So you've got to be cautious. Alicia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Alicia Durant, good evening and welcome to all of you wonderful people to Straight Up. Hey, lots of things happening. Lots of things, right? I don't want to touch on the PNCR's Congress right now and the fact that it may call off. I don't know what's happening with those guys in the PNCR, man, but they've got to figure out their problem. They've got to figure out their situation. But all I can say is this thing should have been properly fixed from the beginning, right? It's during a pandemic. Everybody, majority of the people who say, get the Congress going, get the Congress going, get the Congress going. They started the Congress, and then now they want to stop it. I don't know how successful they are going to be. They want to stop it. But what do you want to bet as soon as that Congress, I think it's on Friday, Mr. Vincent Alexander will have to make a decision whether Congress is going to go or it's going to stop. But I can put my last $5,000, that's all I got, on the table, that somebody's going to rush up the court steps to stop the Congress. Someone will rush up the court step. If that someone does that, it wouldn't look good for democracy. It just wouldn't look good. If they knew that there were problems with the Congress, they should have just relaxed and say, let us hold the Congress at an appropriate time instead of rushing into things during a pandemic. They're going to have lots and lots of problems. But that is why I still don't have a horse in the race for the leadership. I mean, not have a horse in the race. I think enough is enough. They should get on with the Congress. Stop with the lame excuses. And no one party is guilty. No one party is guilty. No one is innocent in this. So I don't want to hear the conspiracy theories about who this and who's trying to. No one is innocent. Absolutely no one. But enough of that for now, right? Enough of that for now. I see that the people are still campaigning. I wish them the best. They are still campaigning. I have a young man, a young man, right? Yeah, a youngster on. He's running. He wants to be the treasurer of the PNCR. He wants to handle the money, get to see what is being done. His name is Elson Lowe. We'll talk a little bit with him about not just that, about the economy and so forth and so on. Spend a couple of minutes with him. And then we have Member of Parliament, Dionarine Ramsarup is with us as well. I don't know. I don't think he wants to get involved in the PNCR Congress business because he's from the AFC side, right? But let's go to this here quickly. Look at this guy. Irfan Ali is saying to the vice president of Ghana that there will be no red tape. No red tape. Irfan Ali is saying no red tape will make private investments easy. Why can't these folks in the installed regime or politicians in general, whenever they're in office, why can't they make things easier for the citizens of Guyana? It is always like people, like they have to bend over backward bend over backward to facilitate the outsiders, so to speak, mind you. And I don't want to, cast everybody as outsiders or whatever, but they treat their citizens like third-class citizens. You know what Guyanese have to go through, all of the red tapes and all of these things just for business? You got to go GRA, you got to get tip, you got to get tin, you got to get this, you got to get that, all sorts of things you got to get. You got to run to the bank, red tape, you got to run to some government agency, ministry, red tape, red tape, red tape. But everybody else coming in, getting all of the oil deals, all of the billions of dollars in terms of duty-free concessions and so forth, whether it's Chinese companies, whether it's ExxonMobil, regardless of what, all of those people are milking Guyanese. But Guyanese got to fight for crumbs. This is what happens while these foreign investors are getting the best of deals for Guyanese. This is what's happening to Guyanese. This is what these folks, Ali and them, are giving Guyanese, and they think that it is acceptable.
If you not take a taste, go to get a dark food, you could taste some bite too. We get nice dark food, kind of chip. All the woman was a man is dark, you could come and get a dark food for your husband. Everybody get a choice. We know deprive nobody. Uncle, you get a dark food, chip, sell out right away. We get a dark food, 200, 300 for the special. You don't get no dark food today? Dark food tip of all, I buy two for 360. You're not buying skill, oh cost. Everybody come and get a dog food, buy me all the
dog food. Do you guys go out and buy dog foods? Good evening, gentlemen. Dog food. The Honorable MP, Elson Lowe, the Honorable Elson Lowe as well, fighting to become the next treasurer of the People's National Congress Reform. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, good evening.
Mr. Ramsrup, good evening. Your microphone.
Sorry, Mark. Good evening and good evening.
Nice business. Nice business, right? Dog food. Everybody get dog food. Let me start with you, MP. All of these foreign investors and the promises to foreign investors to come, there will be no red tapes. They will get all these duty-free concessions, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars. And look, dog food. Dog food guy in New Amsterdam probably has to go through a heck of a lot of red tapes. You're taking all of these big concessions and so forth, sir, to foreign companies.
Mark, as a business person and a person that in the business sector, I've been currently heading the Forest Products Association and sitting on the private sector as a council member also. We have been fighting a long time for having a level playing field. During our administration, we have set up several systems where we had a one-stop shop in GRA. I don't know if you recall that program. I can't remember the exact program what they call it, but we had a system where we set up to have a one-stop shop. This thing here, we have been ranked, I think, is about 190 something in the ease of doing business. The ease of doing business. Now here the president is coming and saying that he is going to relax, so to speak, some of the red tape that is needed for the foreign investor.
It looks as though they're going to relax all of the red tapes, massive duty-free concessions. But go right ahead, sir.
But that, Mark, is not a level playing field because that is where, because we know how the international company is, they're going to take away about 90% of the profits. You understand me? And we locals here going to be end up suffering a lot, and especially the small and medium-sized businesses. And no matter how you turn and twist it, Mark, I think what they're trying to get, and this is, I'm trying to see how I can put it to you, but what they're trying to do here now, people are not coming in here to do business. Through my connections and my contact, they approach the Trinidad Chamber of Commerce, the private sector there, asking those guys to come over and invest here in Guyana. But the problem with what we have in Guyana, have you gotten ideas to the property value the rental that's happening in our country.
It
Have
looks
you
as
seen
though
the
properties are
prices that's
cheaper
went
in
up?
Manhattan. Properties are cheaper in Manhattan to rent and to
Correct.
buy and so forth than to purchase a property in Guyana. 100 million, 80 million, 200 million. I don't know, but stick a pin there for a quick minute. I get your point, but finish it up. I was just going to go.
So if you are going to call to relax all this red tape, but you're still facing with a problem or the issue, that is what I have just mentioned. You got to address that. You have to get something to measure to ensure that you create a stable economy, not as one that is driving from by the oil sector, the oil and gas sector, and that is what driving our economy here. And that is the reason why I think you're going to see that the World Bank, and the latest publication, put Guyana among the countries that will have food security issues. So no matter what you're going to relax for all these international companies that's coming here, we still will face with the problem.
Lots and lots of problems. 22 minutes after 8 o'clock, 22 minutes after 9 o'clock in Guyana. Beautiful Guyana. It's been raining practically all day today. But I asked, let's go to Elson. Elson Lowe, good evening and welcome again to Straight Up. How have you been?
Thank you. I've been good. It's campaign season, so very busy, but good.
I know it's campaign season because a lot of MPs are busy all over the place.
Yeah,
I've never seen them so busy for the past year since they've been in office, but they're busy campaigning. How is your campaign coming along, sir?
Quite well. I've been able to reach out to many regions in Guyana, as well as reach out to those abroad. And I've been able to put forward a message that I hope people find compelling, and a change in direction, especially regarding financing for the party, that I think that people will find to be very engaging, very important, and will allow us to really push for further reform when we put together our manifesto and when we're back in government.
All right, good. So they got some people might say Ben Shop probably is endorsing you for treasurer. Well, look, let me say this to you, young man, because you know they got a lot of people they peeping and they getting ticklish and they want to know who Ben Shop is endorsing or whatever. I have no horse in the race for the leadership, but for the chairman of the party, I'm watching at Sharma Solomon. He has just announced that he is going to contest for the chairmanship. I think Sharma Solomon is solid. I'm also watching Roysdale Ford, senior counsel. So those are the two that I'm watching, right? No endorsement as yet, but I'm watching them. Strong candidates. Let's talk about, before we get back to your race, Mr. Elson Lowe.
Yes, the red tape issue.
I don't want to ask you about the possibility that Congress will be postponed. I don't want to ask you that, but you've heard about that, haven't you?
I think we'll have to wait and see. And you know, when we get information on that, I'll be happy to comment. As it stands, just to get back to what we were discussing regarding the economy, though, I think there are some important points to make there. The first being that I think really what businesses often cry out about is that ultimately in Guyana, everything is still paper-based, and you can't really get things done effectively online. You know, you can set up a business without having to go physically into any place, you know, in the States, in the UK, and so on. Their websites, you can go set up your business. It's 1, 2, 3. Whereas in Guyana, we're very much paper-based. We've seen that demonstrated fully with the fires recently that have destroyed a lot of paper, a lot of records, and so on, and the lack of a digitization campaign to combat that. But essentially, because we don't have, and we're not making efforts to really have a more advanced system, businesses will always complain about how difficult it is to do business here. You know, especially compared to other countries that are much more sophisticated in that regard. But those are challenges that can be overcome. I think we just need to make up our minds to move in the direction of digitization. And that's something, of course, that I would strongly advocate. The other side of this is that when it comes to foreign investment in Guyana, I think it is important for us to understand that there is significant value that we can get from foreign investors coming into Guyana. But it really depends on us making sure that we execute on a couple key things. The first being that as much as possible, foreign investors should be employing Guyanese locally in whatever field they can and training Guyanese locally so that as they set up their operations, Guyanese can have a more and more of a prominent role. What we don't want to see is, over a prolonged period of time, the importation of foreign labor rather than using any of our local labor, because that will cause very substantial inequality. Right. So as much as we want to bring foreign companies in through concessions X, Y, and Z, we have to have a clear strategy about how we're going to benefit from this, because otherwise it will be a free for all. And I can tell you that the Norwegians, when they started up their oil and gas economy, they emphasized training, they emphasized ensuring that local companies benefited and that local companies grew up. And as a result, Norway has a very dynamic oil and gas sector that is locally run and locally owned. And that's the direction that we need to go. So, as much as we encourage foreign investors, it must always be with a mind towards eventually there being more Guyanese participation and more Guyanese employment, even amongst foreign firms. That, of course, has to be addressed in our local content policy. So that's one element of it. As far as the costs of rents and for businesses and so on, the real estate market tends to move in core with the GDP of a country. Studies have shown that they tend to work in hand. And, between last year, this year, next year, Guyana's GDP will be roughly double. So you can imagine that property values, especially in, high-end property, they should be expected to move substantially up. And as a result, rents and so on will go up. Now, for those who own property, that's great. But I think for poor Guyanese, I think for lower income Guyanese, I think for younger Guyanese who are now starting out, these represent serious issues, and we have to have a national strategy to deal with them. As you know, I would have mentioned on previous shows, I was able to do extensive research on the effects of an oil and gas industry, and housing and the increase in housing costs is one of those such effects. And as I've mentioned, if we do not manage the oil and gas economy properly, what we'll have is a decline in people's standards of living as much as the country's income is increasing. And a way to see that immediately is in the cost that the average Guyanese has to pay for rent. So that has to be dealt with specifically and directly, because otherwise we're going to have a real problem, and you're going to hear young people and people of lower income really crying out as much as you can hear some businesses crying out about that.
All right, well said. Elson Lowe with us this evening. He's running to become the next treasurer of the People's National Congress Reform. There are a couple of other candidates in that race. We just want to take this time out to wish Mr. Lowe well. And one of the reasons, and I'm saying this, that Mr. Lowe, he has been very aggressive on the campaign. He has been reaching out, getting his stuff done. And I respect that about people. I respect that about candidates. They have some candidates who just sit down and expect things to happen and expect people to support them and expect people to run away with the campaign, to expect people to endorse them and all these things. And if some of them are watching, it doesn't happen like that at all. It doesn't happen like that. Let's get to the honorable MP. What's happening to the fishermen? A lot of them are complaining, man. What's happening, sir?
So after our program, the last program I was here, we hammered them a little bit on the minister on the lack of interest to that specific industry. They finally said that they're going to do a study. I don't know, study to do what and what findings they're looking for. But we have recently saw a video circulating with the fishermen showing that there was an oil spill in the Atlantic there where they are drilling, and it's seriously affecting their production. And that is what we were saying. We didn't come out point blank to say it, we don't want to say it because you and I know that is the drilling and so on and for the oil is what's going to cause the reduction and the pumping of that hot water back into the ocean is going to disrupt the fishing, the bed, the beds and so on, and the nesting. Um, but we have seen a video circulating, and we're happy that these guys now are taking the fight, which is the most important thing. Each guy needs now realize that they have a role to play, and the most thing they do is exposing what's happening. So I don't think the minister is catching his balance up to now, because from the fish to the sugar to the rice, then you got to do the flooding, and he has not to date 1 year, probably over 6 months, have not implemented nothing within the agriculture sector. So no wonder the World Bank has put Guyana in terms of food security issue. So um, I don't know what else going to come out of his findings, because the last time he spoke about when we talk about the flood relief and he investigated because of public pressure, up to now we have not seen anything reported or any findings about the corruption. Nothing. Mark, I wanted to bring this on the record, and I saw it in a DPI, the what do you call it, the news or
Yeah. Uh-huh.
the
The DPI, for people who don't know, is a government propaganda media entity.
should not be.
All
It should
governments are
not
going
be.
there. They use DPI to spread their stuff. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
it should not be. Look, we have during our former minister of agriculture, Mr. Noel Holder, and with the former director of NARI, Dr. Homnath, we have set up extensive extension resource center from NARI in the hinterland region. We have spent lots of money there and improved the system, even to the rain gate system, to ensure that we can measure the amount of rainfall and to calculate certain prediction in terms of flooding or drought or what may be the case. We have built a building in the region of let me get this. One was done in Monkey Jump and one was done in Charlton. But he recently opened one in
Monkey Jump.
not Monkey Jump. We got
Okay,
one in
so
Monkey Jump.
basically, you're trying to say that in the agriculture sector, that you guys did a heck of a job, even though my views on that former minister of agriculture from your AFC group, but that's another story. So you guys are saying, what you're saying is basically this minister of agriculture, he hasn't come up with a proper plan. He doesn't know what you do, right, so to speak. And so they had this investigation with the COVID cash grant stuff. Up to now, Guyanese do not know what the heck the results are. Well, I tell you what, Honorable,
so the station
we
is
know what the corruption is. He's not going to reveal that to you guys. We know what the corruption is.
Yeah, so what they opened was the $38 million facility in Paramakatai. And not one mention. In 2018, we went and built that station. In 2018 was built. He mentioned it was in the 2020 budget. He so blatantly lied about this. What is so wrong, Mark? And this is the problem I'm getting. Bring a little bit, because you're a minister of government. You are in the PPP Civic Party, but you can be a little bipartisan sometimes on issue. You can say, what, we have completed the project of the AP and UFC that was done in 2018. That's starting in 2018.
You can't blame, Honorable MP, you can't blame those guys in the PPP for that. They don't have a track record of doing that at all. So I blame you guys for not coming out to the Guyanese public and say, these are the contracts. These are the things that we have done. This is what they're taking. Don't expect them to say it. You guys come out as soon as they say it, come out and counter them with it.
Right. So that's the reason why I want to bring that. That is the reason why I'm bringing that. The first opportunity I got, I was dealing with it on Saturday program on the Barbies television program. But these are the things. And then you're going to see and go to Monkey Jump, and you go to Charlton, because that is two other areas that we have built, two more extension service station there. But it's good to acknowledge some of these things that have been done. But I want your viewer, and especially those that are listening here tonight, that that is one of the projects that the APNU AFC have done and proudly done so.
Y'all need to do more in highlighting whatever the projects you guys have done, because too many times I'm hearing too often that the PPP stealing credit
Stealing
for
the
all of
project.
these things
Correct.
that you guys started and they are now completing it. Y'all are lazy when it comes to the PR. Let's get to the Honorable Elson Lowe. Let's get to Mr. Elson Lowe. Elson, how do you feel as a young man? Because when we were out there fighting for local government elections to be held, a few of us, you were still at QC. You were still in school at QC, because that's where I know you from. You were a serious prefect at Queen's College, right? We were fighting for local government elections to be held. And for 20-something years, the PPP ignored it. They do not believe in that sort of democracy at all. But now it's back to square one again. They look at what they're attempting to do now, to postpone local government elections. That is the guy who's squatting there as the Minister of Local Government. His name is Nigel Dharamlal. Nigel Dharamlal. How does that make you feel? Let's start with the Honorable Elson Lowe first.
Well, one of the things I've always found to be quite funny, but darkly humorous, is the idea that you can just not hold local government elections. That this is somehow an optional thing, and if you don't feel like holding it, or if there's some small inconvenience, that you can just not hold it. And that to me is very disturbing, because it kind of sets a precedent for elections more broadly in the country, where if there's some sort of inconvenience, you can just, not hold it. And the PPP obviously has a prolonged track record of not holding local government elections. In fact, their arm had to be twisted for them to hold local government elections, for that process to really start. So I think that's very troubling, and it sets a bad precedent. And that's not the type of country that we want to be living in. I do think that there are reforms that I think will assist, help to make local government more effective. But the idea that you can't, you can just not hold elections and give up reasons that are nowhere near strong enough, I think is highly troubling. But it's a pattern that we've seen repeated quite a bit.
Oh, yes, a pattern indeed. And many folks would remember that this lady, Priya Manik-Chan, was at the home of the U.S. ambassador many years ago. And she practically cursed out the ambassador then, Mr. Brent Hart, told him basically to go to hell, mind his own goddamn business, when all the man was talking about was local government elections. Now they all up under this current U.S. ambassador, all up under her. What's your take, Mr. MP, on the postponement of the local government elections?
Well, Mark, to us, that was not a surprise, because that is the track record. And I want your viewers to understand that when we were in our tenure in office, we had 2 local government elections, because we emphasized, I think David Grincher, the former president, emphasized the importance of a local organ, local arm, local democracy, ensure that the people can make their own decision. We were trying to get them to ensure that they spend their own finance locally, to ensure that they manage the resources so that each person can be responsible. That is what the local government is all about. So suspend this it comes to no surprise. And then you're going to say that GCOM is not ready. This thing was all planned, man. You have to understand this thing. It was all planned, because at the time when, and you see that letter that you put there, there's a threatening part of it there. I think it was in a, so it's basically going to tell you that the instruction going to come from me, which is the Minister of Local Government, which is Nigel Dharamlal. And they want to put what you call the IMC into place. And that is what they're going to work with. So whatever he says must be carrying. But it ain't going to happen, so that ain't going to go down so easy.
Well, people have been hearing that it's not going to happen so. It's not going to go down so easy. And all of these things. Yet the PPP continues to do all these sort of things to trample upon the rights of citizens. destroy the fabric of democracy and all these different things. But all we're hearing is, it's not going to go down, sir. It's not going to go down, sir. Talk to us why it's not going to go down, sir. Let's hear.
You see, Mark, because you cannot, despite these people were elected, and these are persons who were elected to run these offices. They were put there because of the person that had confidence in them. If you're going to change that, it means that you are going to create what we call a dictatorship. And with that being said, that you're going to call for a lot of local, I wouldn't want to say the word here before next year, I want the bulletin for me. You understand? But we'll have to take the street. You understand? We'll have to take the street. And we have to show them that, it can't happen like that. So if he knows what he's doing, and those strong languages he's going to put there and wanted to threaten person here, especially our chairmans and our councillors and the deputy mayors and the mayors and so on.
I like that take to the street part. Forget about the wanted bulletin. It comes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
As fake as they are and political as they are, the wanted bulletins. I know of a lot of those, mind you. But let me say this to you. Take to the streets. There are so many incidents, so many things that happened before. And you guys on the AFC side haven't taken to the streets. Y'all allow the PPP to continue to persecute people wrongfully in every aspect. Now with this local government election stuff, we're hearing, and this is with all due respect, Honorable MP, I might be talking on behalf of the thousands of people who are watching, that should people expect you guys in the coalition, not just the AFC, to take to the streets over local government stuff? Of course y'all should. But in the past, they were far, I wouldn't say more important, other issues that everybody seemed to have been silent. No taking to the streets. Why should people believe y'all now when you say take to the streets?
Mark, you see, we have been pushed, and I want our viewer to understand this. We have been pushed, and I think Rick Ford, Rick Ford made some very good statement on this here. We have been pushed and been pushed and been pushed to the edge. They want us, and you got to understand this, Mark. It's a psychological game. They want us to respond in a way that many of our supporters are thinking. We have to get we have a fraction of where we have to be a bit of a diplomatic to ensure that we have, and they want to show, you got to get this picture, Mark, and you know this picture here. You had your time already in this thing here, and what did we get? PNC is bad. You understand? The APNU is bad. The coalition is bad. The APNU plus AFC is bad.
Who is saying that? Who is saying that?
Us too. No, Mark.
Who is saying that?
The PPP is doing that. That's what they're doing.
Who cares what the PPP said?
But you see, Mark, this is a time where you have people like myself.
Mind you, 1 second. The PPP has no moral authority to say who is bad and who is not bad and who whatever. None whatsoever. But continue.
Mark, but I agree with you. But look what happened in the 2020 election. Look, they had the entire OS on our back. They had the CARICOM on our back. They had the Americans on our back, which was the current ambassador and the outgoing, what's his name again? Mike Pompeo on our back. You understand? These people all believe because they put this thing within behind of them. And now, I can tell you this now. Now, when you look back at the record and you go back into this thing here, you've seen who was the real Jagabats, if you understand. Yes, because we did not put, and that is why I'm saying to you that sometimes you have to know how to approach these diplomats to deal with these matters here. If we go down on that line, which we are trying our best not to, my friend, you've been there. I know you've been there, Mark. You understand? I can't tell you nothing more than that. You've been there.
I got your point, Honorable MP. Yeah. Let's hear from Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe, do you believe in street protests? If so, when should there be street protests?
Well, what I would say is that a fundamental part of any democracy is freedom of expression. and street protests, I think, are just an example of freedom of expression. In fact, they're pretty vital to democracies, across the world functioning properly. And studies have shown that nonviolent protests, these types of street protests, are hugely effective at getting governments to recognize, where they've made mistakes, and I think that's something that we need to pursue, going forward, where we can, and in co with the law and so on and so forth. I think when it comes to local governments, I think there's a lot of room for reform. And I feel that one of the reasons that this has been allowed to lag over such a prolonged period of time is that the system is fundamentally dysfunctional. I'll be speaking, should I make it to the Central Executive Committee, I'll be speaking with other members of the PNC around, regarding reforms and so on and so forth. I am sometimes concerned that you have a local government minister that has so much authority, and you have MPs in Parliament who are all responsible, many of whom are responsible for various regions. And, I've carried out polls to ask people if they could even name one of the MPs in Parliament responsible for the region, and I've had nobody say that they could name anybody. So I think there's something fundamentally wrong. And there discussions will be had regarding what reforms can be made, so as to maybe have those MPs have a bigger role, have more accountability at a local level, and make it so that it is not whether one minister or whether one government wants to hold local government elections, but that there are systems in place to ensure that these things are always held. Because I think there's systematically something wrong, and that is what is allowing the PPP to get away with this for prolonged periods of time. Not to say that the coalition shouldn't be putting pressure incessantly on the PPP to hold local government elections.
But you know what? You are correct. For 20 something years, some of those reforms that I've been asking for, when the PPP refused to hold local government elections. And the other thing is that then opposition was a little too soft in holding them accountable. It wasn't until international pressure that came down. Now, I say some of the reforms because a lot of our listeners may not know this, that the people do not directly elect their mayors, whether it's in Georgetown, Linden, or whatever. And for 20 something years, I've been arguing. I don't know of any other person back then, but I've noticed a couple of persons recently started to argue that when persons go in, and I welcome that sort of argument, that when persons go into the voting booth, they should be allowed to vote for Ben Chap as mayor, Ramsroop as mayor, or Lowe as mayor. Under this current system, it is not the case at all. So they vote for a party, and the party members, the leadership of the party, when they go around this horseshoe table, they decide, not the people of Georgetown, but the party decides who will be the next mayor of Georgetown or Linden. That is why in some cases we saw some square pegs in wrong hole running around as mayor, as they say, pomposetting themselves as mayor. And this is no insult to our current mayor, Mr. Obranch Narain, someone who has been on this program quite a few times, and I have a lot of respect for him. But it's time that the people go into that voting booth and elect their own mayors. Mr. Lowe, another point that you made is as though the PPP doesn't want the changes in local government reform. I agree with you. For 20-something years, they don't want it. They didn't want it, sorry. Now we're seeing it back to their old goddamn tricks. But the very sort of reform that you were talking about, the coalition had an opportunity to make some of those reforms possible. They didn't do it. They just didn't do it at all. Let's talk to the MP. We're looking at the time. Let's talk to the MP. One other quick thing you want to talk about before we go. I give you that chance to talk about it.
Mark, I wanted to get to this current issue that we this thing about the oil and gas and the monies that we are being earning from it, and I want our viewers to understand that. And there was a bit of defense from the government on this aspect that there are not going to be any money. There will be money available. But if you look at the borrowings, they have increased the borrowings to $2 billion more. So if I move from $4 to $6 billion, I think you know that in the first budget that we presented, they bring that bill. They have some more bills here, but I haven't looked at it as yet. But it is quite clear. Recently I see the Exxon, and we are calling for an audit in terms of the expenditure that Exxon is going. Now, Exxon going to fund $400 million to do the audit. Now, if you have a company, Mark, you have a company that
let me cut you for a quick second, Honorable MP. Exxon is not funding $400 million. You, Elson, myself, and all the other taxpayers here in Guyana are funding it.
I understand that point, Mark. I understand, because they're going to put it back the bill on us. That's correct. But what I want to tell you that it's in, that's how they put it here. Exxon says they're going to fund $400 million to audit their own company. Now, if you have a company, 107.1 FM, and I want to audit your company. So I said, Mark, okay, give me $400 million. I'm going to audit your company. Yeah. So what sense does that make? What message are you driving? You understand? So you don't expect to see any better results than what you're seeing. That is what I want to come to. Don't expect to see any better result. So the point where we are saying that the oil and gas will not be profitable, and you got to give Glenn some credit. We got to give Glenn some credit, because he's been TikToking them out.
Glenn Thompson from Kitty, Glenn Samaru from Quarantine. Which Glenn?
Glenn Lab, Kaito News. Our friend, man. He's very popular. That's what Glenn is popular right now.
Glenn is on TikTok, right?
He said TikTok. He said TikTok. He's been TikToking them.
Elson, are you on TikTok?
Yeah. So Glenn, so you've been fighting a nail on this thing.
No, I'm not. I may get on it, but there's some security concerns.
You should get on TikTok for your campaign. Hopefully, your campaign, your Congress would not be postponed, just like local government elections postponed. We hear that the Congress will be postponed. If I were to bet right now, I would probably bet and say that, unfortunately, they want to postpone Congress. This thing may reach still up to the court. It doesn't look nice for democracy within the PNC right now. So far, y'all were going good. But now all of a sudden, things ain't going right, and some folks want to postpone the Congress. I'm a bit annoyed, but I'm not a PNC, so I'll allow you PNC guys to do your thing. But I can still offer my opinion that I'm disappointed that there are elements within who want to postpone the elections. Mr. Ramstroop, we're looking at the time. I got to rush out of the studio because I've had a busy weekend, and Lemon and a bunch of us have an engagement we have to go to. Your closing remarks. Let's go with Mr. Lowe first. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. I think we've talked a lot about reforms that are necessary, systems that are dysfunctional, and the way that the PPP has been able to ride over the Guyanese constitution and the Guyanese people, quite freely. And one of the things that I'm really trying to do, to get on the Central Executive Committee and then to be the treasurer, is to ensure that the party is on a sound, the PNC that is on a sound financial footing, so that it can really, reflect upon what reforms are necessary and push those reforms when we're back in office aggressively. I think that there's a lot that can be done. I've spoken to some senior leadership about some reforms already, but that's a discussion that needs to be had. But I think that until the party's in a sound financial footing, until the party's pointing in the right direction, until we've resolved Congress and we've kind of settled on our direction, these are things that will be blowing in the wind, and that's why, as much as possible, we need to try and move things forward. We'll see whether or not Congress is prepared, and if not, then we'll have it as soon as we can, and we'll just have to proceed in that way. But the point I'm getting at is that as much as I can, I try to push reforms. I try to analyze what's going on, and I try to figure out how we can make these systems better. As far as the PNC's fundraising goes, I've put in place mechanisms for large-scale, small-dollar donors so that we can really raise a lot of revenue in that way. And I think that will have huge positive impacts. So that's something that we'll work on. And from that perspective, I want your viewers to have the utmost confidence that as treasurer, if I am treasurer, someone will be there who has a lot of energy, who has a lot of experience regarding financial matters, and who has already put in place comprehensive plans. Some of your viewers may know that I used to work at Goldman Sachs, that I was an investigator at Sarah. So I have a very robust financial background, and as a result, I think I can do a lot for the party in that regard, as much as I'm trying to move these systems forward. Because ultimately, we chase our tails a lot in Guyana because we don't have proper reforms, and because we allow a lot of nonsense to happen. And so that is something that that age of people running over the constitution left, right, and center, that's coming to an end. And we also need to recognize that the international norms, these things are not accepted anymore. So we need to get our game together. And I can assure you that I will press for progress within the PNC and within the nation more broadly.
Well said, Mr. Lowe. Well said. And I appreciate your approach in terms of this campaign. You don't run around with a chip on your shoulders at all. And that's what I like with persons who are campaigning to go into office. Unfortunately, seem to be a couple of those others seem to have a lot of chips on their shoulders. But that's another story for another time. If Congress is postponed, Mr. Lowe, do you think that will augur well for democracy within the PNCR? I don't know if you wish to comment on that.
All I can say is it depends on why the Congress is postponed. If there are considerable technical issues that can be ironed out, that's fine. However, I think it should be obvious to anyone that ultimately there must be a Congress at some point, and that whatever technical difficulties must be hammered out so that the proper course of the party's constitution can be followed, and so that we can see progress in the party. I think everyone
but Congress, this Congress thing has been going on for a while. And so I don't think, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing this to you, Mr. Lowe, but you are now a politician. I'm sorry that I'm bringing it to you, that people may argue that the technical glitches and these sort of things should have been ironed out over a year ago, knowing very well it's a pandemic. Then therefore, how can the party be able to hold a successful, a transparent, and a democratic Congress? Those things should have been ironed out a while ago.
Mark, I can't speak to the level of preparedness for Congress because I haven't seen the results of the evaluation. Once there's an evaluation, then I'll know whether there are any issues or aren't any issues. What I can say is, even if there are issues, we need to try and resolve them so that we can have the democratic process of the party continue as it should, as the party's constitution indicates. So ultimately, if there are problems, we'll fix those problems. But let's see if there are problems, because I don't know that yet. And, I'm waiting just like everyone else to see what the results will be.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lowe. I wouldn't ask you another question about the Congress, but other than to say that the fact that they have someone looking into the situation suggests that they seem to have problems, and maybe serious problems. Your closing remarks, Mr. Ramsrud.
Yeah, I want to wish Mr. Lowe good luck in this campaign, and I really appreciate that the younger guys are stepping in. We have a lot of young MPs who are stepping and throw their hat in the rings for different positions within the PNC, our Congress, which is good. I want to tell you that our Congress was also due for the AFC, and we had to postpone because remember the pandemic and so on that existed. You have to get our delegate got to be over 300 plus people. So to put them together, we had to come up with, we were trying to come up with a different system, which was the hybrid system, but it's difficult because you're dealing with people in the outer regions. So I think this was probably some of the pointers. Maybe if you heard about a postponement for the PNCR Congress, maybe I'm just telling you what happened to ours, because we were on it.
When were you guys supposed to have Congress?
I think it was in June, July.
And y'all Congress postponed.
Yeah, we push it back, not postpone. We push it back for next year.
Postpone.
Well,
all right, forget it. Push it back. Yeah,
push it back.
Push it back.
That is
what the installed regime wants to do. Push back local government elections, man. And some folks in the PNC push back Congress, man. So when is your birthday? Push it back to. Push it back. Continue.
Mark, sometimes you got to look at these things. Beyond our control. The pandemic came on us, and you got to look at safety of people and all these things and so on. The last thing you want to get is get blamed for something. Oh yeah, I got COVID. Or the Omicron. How you call it? The Omicron is coming.
Mr. Ramstrup, this COVID pandemic thing is being misused unjustly.
Mark.
Whilst I appreciate it, but when they had a big rally in Brooklyn, COVID-19 wasn't an issue. But continue, man. Sorry, it's Monday night. We're friends.
Right. No, that's straight. That's straight. But you're talking about cluster together. 300 people. PNCR is about going to be over 1,000 something people you're talking about.
And AFC is how many?
We be about 300 something. Our Congress size.
Y'all can't hold y'all Congress. Y'all think with 300. Oh, continue, Mister.
We're gonna
cheers.
Yeah, Mark. So right. So I really wanted to thank you to be on your program tonight, and I wanted to hail up your base from the guys from Virginia. I see Johnny from Virginia, Los Angeles, California.
Give them a shout out. Give them a big shout out.
But somebody just sent me a message because they're probably looking at my page. In Region 6, Port Morant, the Port Morant local Democratic Council there's an individual guy who run for councillors. His name is Oren Dugal. Oren Dugal run independently, as you pointed out that some person should be run independently, and he won a seat on that council. He did something called a hamper share out because as a councillor he wants to to do something for the community, so he was sharing a hamper. Do you know that the PPP personnel really they assaulted this guy? They assaulted him. Not to do that. So how can we have democracy? How can we have independent person doing these things if you don't allow them to do it?
True.
You understand? So I'm coming back to the word that I mentioned earlier. We call dictatorship. One man, control freakism. They want to control everything. They want to suppress the nation. They wanted to look at what happened recently to the education system. You see the result of the education system. The Minister of Education, she had to be flagged. The ministry is being flagged right now because of the level of education is not being the interaction and the level of education to be taught is not there. So this is what we're coming back to. So they're not going to be pushing the education level how we wanted to do, how we were doing it. So you're going to have this control freakism, this dictatorship approach of managing the country. And I'm saying this over and over, that for the last year and a half, our country been managed very poorly. It's been governed very poorly.
It's been allowed to govern very poorly.
You understand? So, and I'm looking forward to see exactly, and I'm calling on all your support base, all your viewers here, that when the time comes that each and every one of us has to take a position. You understand? We can't rack back and say, oh, Lord, yeah, Granger this, Granger give up seat and all these things.
MP, can I say something to you?
Sure.
The people have elected you guys to work on their behalf. The people are expecting you guys to take that lead on their behalf. Once they see that strength coming from the MPs, then the people will follow suit. Join the MPs, join others in the struggle.
Definitely, Mark. Definitely. I mean, there's nothing. We have been on several. If you followed on many of the issues where we started I think recently we had a protest in front of for your friend Charles Ramsden.
About 6 of you guys turned out there.
Exactly. So it's exactly
Six out of 31 members of parliament, because most of them either were out busy campaigning, right, busy campaigning or studying who started the protest, why they should go, and lots of bickering, MP. Lots of bickering. You're my friend.
Well, I thought you.
I'm not disrespecting you
so
at
the
all.
MP will be
Lots of bickering.
But I thought you said you want the people to come. I mean, this is what you call it. You can't talk. You said you want to talk numbers. You want to talk strength. But one of us can go there. We went when the whole up Trevor Ben and all of us was there. But the people now got to come out. So you have to understand the change and the dynamics of people. Not for them, we're asking them to come out and support the protest. What do we have? You understand? So I know plenty person on my page. They want us to go, okay, go and protest. So we got to go protest. And so I call them up. I send them. I said, bring a bus load for me. And let's go.
I got you, Mr. MP. I got you. I remember those days. I wasn't an elected official, but I was out there almost every day.
I know. A
couple of other people. You guys are elected officials. Whether the people come out or not, people want to see you guys stand up for their rights. I'm not saying that every time something happens that y'all have to run out and... I'm not saying that, Mr. MP. I'm not saying that at all. Quickly, before we go, the coalition doesn't have a youth... what is it? A shadow minister of youth. I wonder why. We'll talk about that some other time this week, maybe. This young man, Elson Lowe, would have made an excellent. Excellent.
We did. We do have one. We do have one for culture, youth, and sports.
I know you get one. So they get Ramson running all over in all them bushes, in all them villages, right? I don't know what's happening with the coalition, man. Do you pray, Mr. Ramshoop? Do you pray, Mr. Can somebody pray, please?
Well, Mark, you talk about praying. Let me give you the latest.
Sure, give us the latest.
Let me give you the latest. You talk about praying. So your friend.
No, you still have 1 minute. Let's hear the latest. Go ahead.
Yeah. I talk about your friend now. So I did a program when we call him out to be a racism. On a program called Under the Belt with Sherrod. Our first program. So there's a first program for Under the Belt. We're trying, and then Sherrod was trying to get the different media to put a thing in, and one of the media was one of the phone that ran out of credit that he was running the live program. So you have several systems he's running. So the man come on his Facebook program and say, you see what? When God got your back, you understand? Charles Ramsey, on his page, put up my picture and the other girl as well. Yes, the girl who was doing the program. Put it up in this thing and said, and he was playing the recording where the thing said, sorry, you're out of credit. And when he keep playing it on this thing and said, when God got your back. You understand? So I responded to him and said, you know what? And I said I feel blessed because we have encouraged him to pray. So you're right. So your friend is praying too.
Well, Mark, I want to make an important point here, which is that I don't want people to be too confused about the role and the amount of time that we give to Minister Ramson. Ultimately, what you're seeing right now in the PNC Congress is you're seeing a lot of young people pushing for top positions, senior positions. I'm looking to be the treasurer. You have young people looking to be, as far as high as leader, but for chairman, for vice chairman, and so on. And ultimately, these will be decision-making positions, and on the CEC, we'll have those discussions, and you'll have a lot of young people actually involved in the policy making of the country at the highest level. I'm not sure that Mr. Ramson is involved in the policy making of the country at the highest level. I could be wrong, and as a result, I don't know that I focus too much on what he has to say. And as a result, I don't want to give him too much of attention, because ultimately, in the PNC, you're seeing genuinely young people being involved at the highest level. And as much as I know the PPP likes to put on a facade of having young people involved at the highest level, I'm not convinced by that. And so I wouldn't lend too much time to Mr. Ramson. I wish him well. But I don't know that I really pay attention so much to what he has to say.
Well said. Thank you so much. We'll not mention We'll not mention Ramson's name for the rest of the night on this program. We'll be off in just about a minute. So there will be no mention of that little boy's name. But let me say this, though, that young people who have a vision, young people who are committed, young people who are sincere, young people who understand what it means to be servants of the people, and so forth and so on. Not young people who are just there for a position or just to say that they could become X, Y, and Z. Forget about the track record and these sort of things, but young people who understand what leadership role really means. And so if some of those young people that you're talking about, Mr. Lowe, like yourself, you have the vision, we can see that, we listen to you, you articulate yourself well, and you seem to have a vision. But they got some young people, a lot of young people don't have any vision. Some of them are worse than the old politicians. Let's hope that those who are running for office for the PNCR Congress all have vision. Let's hope that is the case. Mr. Ramstroop, I was going to say, give you another chance, but we got to run. You will be back, Mr. Ramstroop.
Yeah, definitely, Mark. Thanks a lot.
So before you go, what's the word you put back? AFC Congress, put back. Local government elections, put back. There's a possibility that PNCR Congress, put back. What if this year's Christmas going to put back too? We are now living in a put back country, the Cooperative Republic of Put Back, Guyana. But I'll bring you guys back right here on Straight Up. Thanks for all that you do, though, both of you. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Continue to be safe and practice social distancing. God bless you both.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put back. AFC Congress put back. Local government elections put back. PNCR Congress may put back. Christmas put back. Mashramani put back. What else put back? Pagwa put back. Easter put back. The pandemic. This year I put back my birthday from September 8th to next year. Put back. And for those in the install regime, all them billions of dollars that I take out from the treasury, I'll put it back. We're living in a put back country. Put back. The wanted bulletin, I'll issue for what's this, Rickford Burke? Yeah, I'll put it back. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. A bunch of goddamn vagabonds in that country, man. In the install regime. But please, y'all in the opposition, y'all can do better. Do better. Do better, for crying out loud, man. Oh gosh. I gotta go. I love you guys. God bless you all. I'll be put back tomorrow. As Lemon is saying, put back. Let me see. Let me welcome Andel Prince. Whoever is Andel Prince. Mark, you're behaving childish. Put back, Andel Prince. Childish. I bet you can give an example. Why am I behaving childish? Oh, gosh. Put Andel Prince back. Put Andel Prince back. I don't know. I love you guys. See you all tomorrow. Same place, same time. The put back country. Put back. God bless you all, man. God bless you all.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief. Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What a travesty. It calls for us to think and think deep. The stage we are in as a country is not a stage where you become an onlooker. You have become an onlooker for too long. You must get ready to put your hands to the plow and be part of the process. It's not just about PVC, carry PVC. You must be in the kitchen where it is being determined. You must be there where the decisions are being made. We are there in our numbers, they cannot outnumber us. But you leave it aloof. Oh, no, it's too dirty. It's a dirty game. And then the dirty guy is getting to the game of play. And you are there not showing up. And when they begin to make the decisions, you will know whether it's a dirty game or not. The result is always dirty on yours. Dirty on your health. Dirty on your business. Dirty on your success and your career. I hope that is stirring up something in you.